What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's Daily Devo with Trust in Jesus Ministries, and we are moving on to the next section. We are on Ishmael, just to finish off the Abraham saga. Really, Abraham is finished in the last episode, and then now we are going to kind of wrap this up with a bow, and then move on to Isaac and to Rebecca, and then to Jacob and Esau. So let's go ahead and finish what we started in Ishmael. And so if you haven't checked out Genesis 25, 12 through 18, go ahead and hit that up, read it, stop the tape, check it out, see what it has to say, come back, and we will discuss the 4 questions. If you've already read it, let's jump on in. So what is this passage say? Well, it just says that these are the generations of Ishmael. So remember we talked about that toldot and how those are sections and parts of breaking down Genesis. And so this is a little section to kind of round out the blessings of Abraham to his family. And then afterwards, we begin on a new journey. And it kind of keeps with that same rhythm. Each generation, each of the toldots was like a toldot of just generations, or not generations, but a toldot of just the people that are born, genealogies. And then the next toldot is kind of like a story or a tale, an event that happens. And so this toldot of Ishmael is the genealogy. And then after this one, we're going to have a toldot of Isaac, and it will be the story of Isaac. But in this toldot, it just names his kids. It says, these are the generations of Ishmael, and it goes and it names all of them. And then it goes in to say that they become cities and 12 chiefdoms or 12 chiefs, 12 nations. And then it gives his death. It says he died at about 137, I believe, 137 years. And he was gathered with his people. So what does this passage say about God? Well, when we read it, we see his faithfulness again, because he makes the promise to Abraham that he would have nations come out of him. And then we see that Ishmael is a great nation. Matter of fact, it's 12 great nations. Just as future Israel will be 12 tribes and 12 nations. Well, not 12 nations, but 12 tribes. But we see 12 chiefs, just like Israel. Ishmael is like that, except on the latter. And we even see now that the descendants, the Arabs, descend from Ishmael. And so this is a promise fulfilled, that Abraham not only was the great nation of Israel, but also the great nation of Arabs. And so there's just, God is just infinitely blessing these people because of the sake of Abraham. That's faithfulness. And it's faithfulness because it's not the son of the promise, which is amazing. Like, God had promised for this to happen to Ishmael, and he could have finished there. He could have been done with that. I'm sorry, not Ishmael, but Isaac. And he could have been done with that. But that wasn't the case. He continued to carry on that blessing. So he's an overwhelming, abundant blessing God. He's a God that overwhelmingly, abundantly blesses. What's to say about man is that you don't have to be the chosen one. You know what I'm saying? Is that Ishmael lived out his life, did his thing, and bore the children that he bore, raised them, and they became great. I mean, you don't have to be the chosen one. You know what I mean? And so I think sometimes we get lost in that, is that we think that our abilities, because really we're all the chosen ones if we're called by God, and God gives us a measure of grace. And so the measure of grace that we receive, we should be living in that grace and doing the thing that God has called us to. You don't have to be the pastor in order to do the work in the kingdom. You don't have to be the youth leader to do the work in the kingdom. You don't have to be the piano player or whatever it is. God has given you a measure of grace, and that grace that he has given you should use to glorify his name. So you don't have to be the chosen one in the sense that we think about chosen ones, because we're all really the chosen one. So how do we apply these truths to our lives? Well, I think it goes back to thinking about that being the chosen one. You recognize God is faithful. So if he calls you to do something, and he's going to accomplish it in your life, but also that if God has blessed you with whatever blessing he's blessed you with, and so live that out. And so don't get caught up in everybody else's stuff, man. I think that's the application, is that don't get caught up in all of the prestige and the power and the glory or whatever it is that you see in other people's lives. Deal and live in what God has blessed you with. Live out your blessing. Live out your calling. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.